the name is missing from the Arabic alphabet. And the yodh or yodh, which is represented by the letter y, and which is pronounced iy, or the name e, which is the divine designation for the Holy One, whom is named E. And whom is E, the Almighty E, whom is the sovereign King of all the heaven and also the earth in the Hebrew language. But instead the Arabic equivalent for the yodh is the yad, and it is written as the diphthong, ya, in the Arabic alphabet and the Arabic language. And which have caused many people to be deceived because of the omission of the letter iy, which is the representation of the holy name of E. And by the omission of the letters, iy, which stands for E, and which is the holy sacred name of E, whom is E Almighty E, and whom is the sovereign King of all the heavens and the earth, and that is why many have been misled. And whether this is by design or not, it is for sure the deception of Shaitan, and I am sure. But this is one of the reasons why many are ignorant of the holy sacred name of E, whom is the Holy One, and whose name is conveniently missing from the Arabic alphabet, and also from the Arabic language. But in the English language, the pronoun he is used as a substitution for the name E. And this is why the acronym SWT could be confusing in the Arabic language. Because the meaning of Subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the acronym SWT, is misleading because it is using the pronoun he instead of the noun E, or the diphthong iy, which stands for the holy sacred name of E, which is the holy sacred name of Elu'hymn, and which is the identifier for the Almighty E, whom is the Holy One, and whom is also the sovereign King of all the heavens and the earth. And now the Muslims are saying the SWT wrong, and they are also using it wrong. When the translation of this Arabic phrase, which is Subhanahu wa ta'ala, should mean, may E be praised, and may Elu'hymn be exalted. Or more simply put, let all the praises be for E, whom is Elu'hymn, because E is E Almighty One, and E is Elu'hymn, and E is the odd, and E is the only one, whom is E alone. But the Muslim, they are using this acronym wrong. When they are using this phrase after the name of Allah instead of E, the Almighty E, and instead of E, and Elu'hymn, which are the sacred holy names of Elu'hymn, whom is E, the Holy One, and whose name is E, and Holy E. And they are using this phrase to lavish praises and prayers to God, whom is known as Shaitan, when they should be exalting and lauding E, and they should be giving halals to E, whom is Elu'hymn, whose name is odd. Friends, the holy sacred name of E is the Holy One, and E's holy name is also Elu'hymn, and E is the eternal King of heaven, whom is E, the Almighty E, and the Holy One, and whose holy sacred name is called Holy E. And there's no secret that Gadriel is God, and whose name is also called Gadriel, and old Gog, and the serpent of old, and also the beguiler, and whom is the one whom is called Shaitan. And Shaitan is called the God of this world. Friends, we shouldn't let the titles of God, whom even certain prominent Muslim teachers are coming out of Islam, and they are voicing their concerns about the controversies about the attributes of Allah. And they are proclaiming that some of the titles or the names of Allah and the characteristics of Allah, that it does not appears to be that of Allah, but they are deemed to be those of a God whose name is called Satan. Friends, I have looked at these controversies, and indeed some of the names of Allah, and the titles of God, appears to be suspicious. And they does indeed cast suspicion on God, and also on Allah as being a name for Shaitan. But friends, we shouldn't be focusing on this. What we should be doing is to find out what is the sacred holy name. And is it really E, instead of God or Allah? And also, what are the real attributes of E? And what are E's holy sacred attributes? And we shouldn't let these contradictions and these controversies about God to be allowed to confuse us, even though they appears to be slightly similar to those of Elu'hymn, whom is E, and whom is the odd. Because I personally believe that God is the author of confusion. And that the acts of God does sure makes God guilty of being a destroyer and a abaser. And especially the 30th name of Aalar, which is al-Latif, which means the subtle one. And which is my friend is a name for Shaitan, and which is also a character flaw of Satan. Friends, the 99 names for God are a misrepresentation of Aalar. And that they are deceptive names for God and Aalar, because they are not the true character of Shaitan, whom is also called God. Because God is known as the deceiver and also the master of impersonations, and also the master of deception and deceit. And the acts of God are quite telling, and they are also revealing. Because they signifies the errors about who and what we think and what we know about God. And which gives the impression that God is Shaitan, whom is the administrator of death or the author of confusion and destruction and the giver of pain and suffering and sickness and diseases and disaster, and finally death. And so on. And these are some of the reasons why God is not named Holy. And quite frankly, God is the cruel one, and the wicked one. And God is Shaitan, whom is also known as Iblis and Shaitan and Satan and Beelzebub. And the prince of devils, and the prince of demons, and also of all evil, and of the Jinni and the demigods. And God is the father of lies and blasphemies. And God is the devil or Shaitan in disguise. Friends, God and Jesus are the subtle ones. And they are the subtle ones whom are wickedly cunning and whom have committed blasphemy. And like Father, so is his Son. They are equivocators. And they are supplanters. And they're the evil ones. And that is why we shouldn't worship them. Nor neither should we laud them. Because the worshipping of God is known as idolatry. And the lauding of any lord is lordolatry, and also so is the worshipping of his Son, whom is Jesus. And whom is also known by many other names. Such as Yeshua and Yeshua and Gesu ihs and Jesus and Judas and Jesuit. And all those who are lauding any of these names are guilty of lordolatry. And all those that are worshipping them, and those who are calling upon their names are guilty of idolomancy. Friends, what do you think is the reason why the Bible says that God is the Lord of the earth? And that Shaitan is the god of this world? And that earth is the Lord's? And that we are all his people, and also that we all are the works of his hands? Friends, when this is not true. Because he is the Almighty One, whom is the sovereign creator of the heavens and the earth. And Elu'hymn is the host and the author and designer of all things. But still many are claiming to be the children of God. And that's why many have being deceived into worshipping God. When there are so many God. And that's why we all have to specify which God we are worshipping. Because there are so many gods. And that is why we all have to give to God a specific name. When we are worshipping God, and when we all are calling upon God. And when we are calling upon whatever is the name for that God or for the God that we are lauding, and to the God that we are worshipping, and also to the God of what religion that we are adhering to. But how can we differentiate between so many gods? And how can we figure out which is the Holy One, when there are so many gods? And which one is the sovereign one from the 30,000 gods that are there in the world? And from the no good ones, which many are sincerely following. And from the ones which we are sincerely worshipping. And from the many different gods, that are in the world, and it's so confusing. And when we ourselves are so confused because we can't tell which one is the Holy One. Friend, the name God is by definition, is troublesome. And which means the one whom we are worshipping. And that it could be a god or an idol or a spirit or an image or a deified object of many things. And a god could be a deity or an idol or a goddess or an effigy of any famous person or of any hero or of a statue of many people, or it could be an obelisk. And a god can be a demon or an evil spirit or a jinn. And also it can be of an edifice and of reverent places or of any revere things or of beings that are considered powerful or revere. And which may have some sort of a control over someone's life. And it might be an evil spirit that may have limited control over someone's life. As in the case of demon possession and demonolatry and the summoning of demon and the invocation of angels. as in the practice of the arts, like witchcraft and sorcery. Friends, and these are the gods of men. And these are the gods that are plaguing men. But the Almighty, whom is also called the Almighty One, is not a god. Because He's the sovereign creator. And even though one of the definition of a god is, that it is one whose attributes are pure, and whom is almighty, and whom is the creator of heaven, and so on. It is deceptive. Even though some of the attributes of whose name is named Holy, and whom is the Yodh, and whose name is named the Holy One. Because only alone is holy, and because the name of does not have any correlation to God, whom is called Shaitan. And this is what makes God such a deceiver. And this is why the name God is so deceptive. Because only Elu'hymn is known as and the Holy One. Because only Elu'hymn alone is the Almighty and the Almighty One, and only alone is the sovereign King of all the heavens and the earth. And there's no relation between God and Elu'hymn. And there shouldn't be no mistaking of to be a god. Because only Elu'hymn alone holy, and is whom is Yodh. And that's why we shouldn't be mistaken about whom is and whom is Elu'hymn, and whom is Elu'hymn. And neither should we make the mistake of embracing any deity or idol or any such god, such as Brahma and Shiva and Buddha or Jehovah and Yahweh and even Aalar. And neither should they take the place of because only Elu'hymn alone is holy, and only alone is to be praised. Because is whom is Almighty, and whom is the Yodh, and the sovereign King of all the heavens and the earth. Friends, but the 99 names for Aalar are not really names, they are more like titles. Because we don't want to confuse ourselves by appearing to be calling upon multiple gods. Even though God does have many other names. And that none of the name for God can be compared to and that only alone is the Holy One, whose name alone is known as Holy and the Almighty. As such be the case of Aalar, there is not comparison. But Shaitan does have many other names, such as Gog, Gadriel and Shaitan and others. Which are just some of the names that God is known by. And neither is God Elu'hymn, or Elu'hymn. And neither is God, the Yodh. Because only Elu'hymn is whom is named Holy, and the Holy One. And is the Almighty, and is whom is Christ. And is Yodh. And is whom is the sovereign King of all the heavens and the earth. Friends, God is also known as Shaitan. And Shaitan is known as the subtle one. And God is the evil one whom have deceived the whole wide world. And that's why we shouldn't trust God, because God is Shaitan. And Shaitan is the god of this world. Friends, I know what I am talking about. And I am not the least crazy to be saying these things. I have seen the enemy, and I have seen his son. Friend, I am not saying this as to lord over anyone, like the many leaders, in the various religions, whom are the pastors of the megachurches. Especially those in the Christendom and also those that are in the many other religions. And whom are in the places of power and leadership. And whom are teaching the adherence to God, and the worshipping of God. I would have them to know that God is the author of confusion and deception and destruction and death. And that I know what I am talking about. Because, Elu'hymn have showed me, who is Jesus. And Elu'hymn have revealed to me who is Shaitan. And I am now sharing it with everyone. And it is God. It is Gadriel. And God is the short form of the name of Gadriel. And God was the serpent of old whom led Eve astray, when they were cohabiting in the Garden of Eden. Here's a quote from the book of Enoch 69:6, and the name of the third is Gadriel. This is the one that showed all the deadly blows of death to the sons of men. And he led astray Eve. And he showed the weapons of death to the children of men, and the shield and the breastplate, and the sword for slaughtering humans, and all the weapons of death to the sons of men. Friends, is the Almighty One whom is Elu'hymn, and also is Christ and is yodh. And have called me to share His holy sacred name to all faiths. And to proclaim His holy sacred name without any fear of reprisal. And I am taking this moment to share His holy sacred name online to my friends, and also to everyone online. And to as many persons that would listen to me, and to those that would consider this information, and to those that would take heed. And that they would acknowledge He, as the Holy One before it's too late. And this message is not meant to disparage anyone or to criticize their religion or their faith. Friends, what I am doing, is to highlight the facts. And to show that there is a deception afoot. And that the world has being deceived by God and Jesus. And that the name God is not the sacred holy name. And that the name God, is not called holy. And that God is actually called God real. And that God is a representation of Shaitan. And that the sacred holy name of the Holy One is known as and Holy and the Almighty and the Almighty One. And that is known as the yodh. Because He is yodh in all the heavens and the earth. Friends, for more information about and Elu'hymn and Elu'hymn and about whom is called the yodh. Friend, would you please check out my message which is called the Sacred Holy, What is it, God? Thank you. And to see the 99 names for Aalar, would you please click on the link below? Thank you. The fault with the Arabic alphabet and the Arabic diphthong, instead of which is the designated letters for the holy sacred name of whom is named Holy. Thank you. To be continued. The end.